Hello, everybody. Today's first review is going to be of X, the movie from 2022, which actually started a series followed by Pearl and then Maxine. So I've seen the first two, but I've never seen the third one. I'm going to be watching the third one tonight, actually, because now I've rewatched the first two, so I'm kind of a little bit more familiar with the story again. So this one, the first one, X, I gave a 8 out of 10 to. I thought it was just I don't remember liking it that much the first time around, but now watching it again, I can kind of see that it's like trying to give like the old school horror movie vibe in a sense, and I did really like enjoy that. Like it was almost like a old school slasher film with like kind of like a new age take to it in a way, which is different, hard to do. Uh, but yeah, this was probably, well, I would say this was much better, or yeah, my favorite out of the first two anyway. But yeah, obviously you'll know when I talk about the second one when I review it. But so we'll go over the cast list as we always do first. So Mia Goth, who played Maxine and Pearl. So I didn't actually know that she played both like her own role as the younger girl and also the older lady. I didn't know that the first time watching this. So yeah, it was kind of cool to see that um, for sure. And like how they do like the camera work when they're both in the room together. I'm not exactly sure, like whether, well, obviously they would have had to shoot it at different times and then splice it together to make it look like they were in the room together. So that's kind of interesting how they would have done that with the special effects, because it looked like they were actually there together. Yeah. Jenna Ortega, who played Lori Ann, who completely forgot was even in this movie. Like when I was looking up the cast list, I'm like, oh my god! Like before I started watching it, I was like, Jenna Ortega was in this movie. So this must have been like one of her, I guess you could probably say like first maybe bigger roles as far as that went, because I think she was in You, but I can't remember whether that was after this or before this. So this might have been like kind of like her breakout, to be completely honest. Brittany Snow, who played Bobby Lynn, Kid Cudi, who played Jackson, Martin Henderson, who played Wayne, who was like the producer of the film they were working on. Owen Campbell, who played RJ, who was the cameraman. So again, uh, uh, was it Lorianne or was it Lorraine? It might have been Lorraine. I feel like it was Lorraine. It was Jenna Ortega's character. Yeah, Lorraine. That's how you pronounce that. Oh my god, sorry. I butchered that at the beginning. But anyway, so RJ and Lorraine were together. Stephen Ure, who played Howard, who was Pearl's husband. James Galen, who played Sheriff Dentler, who was kind of like the opener to the movie. He kind of like saw the aftermath of everything that had happened the night before and wasn't really sure kind of what to make of it, I guess. And then Simon Prast, who played the televangelist that we see on the TV throughout the movie, who's making all these remarks about how like it's like sex is sinful and so on and so forth, and going on about how um, we need to stop this this like certain way of life or whatnot. Yeah, basically he was just trying to say that like the path certain people were taking wasn't the right path. But I mean, does anybody really know the right path to take in life? Um, I think we're all kind of like learning as we go. There is no, I mean, obviously there's things that you shouldn't do in life for sure, but yeah, like most people I think are kind of learning as we go, and they're not really sure what path they're on. I mean, I'm 32 and I'm still figuring stuff out, so yeah. Take that with a grain of salt, I guess. So yeah, the movie opens with like a brutal, like the aftermath of like a brutal murder scene. And so I guess the story is taking place in 1979, so right before the 80s, when like yeah, it was I guess the 70s and 80s was kind of like the hippie era, wasn't it? So yeah, that's kind of what it, kind of the vibe I got from these guys was like they were kind of like on the road and trying to be like almost like entrepreneurs. They didn't want like the whole kind of like working class blue collar job. They were trying to get above that, right? From what I got, at least that's kind of the vibe I got from Wayne, was that he didn't want to. He said he didn't want to work on like a hard hat for his entire life. He wanted more than that. So I guess he was trying to make these essentially adult films to make some money, obviously, and he had the right people around him that wanted to, be there and support him, and they all kind of seemed like they were friends. So I guess it all kind of worked out, right? Um, so yeah, again, they're filming an adult film, which I guess maybe back then probably was pretty new, I would think. For the most part, anyway. Like, yeah, I guess it probably would have been like the same market it is today. Oh my God, like adult films are just everywhere. You can find them pretty much anywhere you want to. Like, it's not that hard to go online and find an adult film these days, unfortunately. Um, yeah, it can be like an addiction to certain people. So yeah, I suppose it would have been, a little bit different back then, obviously. Probably more of like a shock factor to a lot of people, because I'm sure the adult industry wouldn't have been quite as big as it was back like today. Today it's much bigger than it was back then, is what I'm trying to say. Um, so it was. Oh my God, sorry. I'm trying to think here. I don't know why I put Roy, because it was Wayne. Wayne explains to the owner of the property that they had, once they get to their like one main shooting location, he gets a gun pointed at him by the owner, and he has to explain to the owner that he's already talked to him on the phone, and he said it was like okay for them to stay there, and this guy goes, yeah, right. You just can't be too careful around strangers, but you guys were looking for a place to stay, so that's what he's going to give them or provide them. Of course, he doesn't actually know that they're filming an adult movie on his property, but I guess what he doesn't know won't hurt him, right? So then we see like this old lady from the top of the house, like watching Maxine from the window, uh, which was just very strange. Like, just kind of gave you like an eerie, creepy vibe. And this film just kind of does that throughout, because at one point, so yeah, at one point, like Maxine was like in the water, and the old lady's watching her from like a distance. So just a whole bunch of creepy stuff going on. Yeah. So the crew begins to film their adult movie without the knowledge of the property owner, right? And then, uh, yeah, that was one of the like cool scenes too, where Maxine goes for like her swim or whatever, and uh, the old lady's like watching her from the woods, and you kind of get the feeling that she might be a little, obviously she's a little jealous of what is going on, right? Because she does catch Maxine through like the barn window, so she knows that they're like up to something, right? Like, not just staying there for the fun of it, right? They're trying to make something out of like this location, right? So the older lady knows that. Pearl, I guess, is her name, right? So Pearl knows that, and I guess now that we kind of had the backstory from the second movie, obviously we know a little bit more about Pearl and why she is the way she is in the first movie. Um, so then RJ, because Lorraine decides that she wants to be part of the movie too, RJ gets a little upset about that and decides to leave. And then, of course, Pearl's like right in front of the vehicle when he goes to leave, and she ends up killing him, because she tries to like hit on him in the driveway, which is just very strange because the age difference is just like, I don't know exactly how old she was supposed to be, but I would imagine she was probably at least in like her 80s. It would be my best guess, somewhere around there. So she tries to like hit on him because she thinks that she's still thinking that she's like some sort of star, I guess, or didn't really have her life pan out the way she wanted it to. So she's trying to like prey on him a little bit, which was just very, very weird and very creepy. Um, so she ends up killing him in the driveway, and then I'm not exactly sure like how she disposed of his body without anybody noticing. Um, but then, of course, now her husband Howard is looking for her. So I think at this point um, she had killed RJ, and then she kills Wayne in the barn. And I think at the same point that her husband had locked Lorraine in the basement, after saying that he needed help looking for her, right? Like looking for Pearl. So that was kind of a wild thing. So she's locked in the basement. And of course, oh yeah, that was right. She finds RJ's body behind her in the basement. And yeah, that would have been, I was like, oh my God, please do not turn around in that scene. Even though I'd seen it before and I knew she was going to, like, I was like, please don't turn around. So eventually, it basically comes down to Pearl and the old couple because he gets Kid Cudi's character to come help him. So he gets Jackson to come help him look for his wife, and then he ends up killing Jackson because I guess he's jealous of what his wife is doing. And he says, you know, like the last people that were here did the same thing you guys were doing and made my wife like a jealous mess or whatever. So, oh my God, why can't I think of his name? So Jackson, you know, kind of like goes, yeah, well, okay, like, I don't know what that has to do with me. We should probably get back to the house and figure out what's going on. And they have a little bit of an argument, and then, Howard just shoots him. So Howard kills Jackson, and then I believe it was, yeah, so at that point, how did, oh, right, yeah, it was, I forgot about, Bobby Lynn being the one that goes to help Pearl on the dock, and she pushes her into the water and lets the alligator eat her. So that was a nutty scene too. Like, just the kills in this were like very much old, like slasher film kills with like a new take. So yeah, it's down to Pearl at this point and the old couple. So I guess Lorraine does get her to the basement, and of course Maxine is trying to like Maxine and Pearl and Howard. It gets down to them, right? And Lorraine. But Lorraine runs out of the house and gets shot immediately by Howard. And then he has a heart attack trying to carry Lorraine back into the house, so he dies. And then Pearl picks up the gun and tries to shoot Maxine and blows herself out of the door. Now, most of the time, you shouldn't be laughing at somebody like that, but that scene was just so goofy. Ended up looking so goofy because she just gets like blown right through both doors basically, and then like flies into the driveway, and then tries to plead with Maxine after that. And I was just like, okay, well, Maxine isn't going to listen to you now, right? Yeah, it was just absolutely crazy. So Maxine gets the keys to the van, and Pearl tries pleading with her, and then, you know, yells at her some more and says, you know, she's going to amount to nothing, kind of like the same thing. Like, I guess she thinks that Maxine's going to follow in the same footsteps as she did. And Maxine just backs up over her head. So, I guess, obviously, Maxine didn't want anybody to find out what had happened that night, right? So then the cops find the video camera with the tape in it. And, of course, the sheriff thinks it's going to be, like, some sort of, like, horror film that's going to be filmed on it. I think they're going to be shocked when they find that out. But, I guess the televangelist on the TV turns out that it might be Maxine's father. That's kind of the vibe I was getting at the end. Or at least somebody who knew her. Maybe she was part of that, like, church group, and they were just hoping that she would come back if she saw their message. I'm not really sure, but I believe that it might be somebody she's related to. That's probably my best guess. Yeah, I guess they kind of leave it open-ended as to who that could potentially be, but I think I might have screwed up the names when I was talking, so yeah, but Maxine was the younger one, and Pearl was the old girl, or old lady. So yeah, if I messed up talking at some points, I'm sorry, because she played both parts, so I guess that's just in my head, right? But anyway, yeah, the soundtrack for this movie was just so fitting, And just in certain scenes, the soundtrack just gave you like an eerie feeling and goosebumps. Kind of like an eerie feeling throughout this movie for sure. And I think that's hard to do um, in like a slasher film, to give you like an eerie feeling throughout. Usually you kind of feel like on edge when you know the killer's close, but in this one you weren't ever sure like what to expect. And yeah, they just did a good job of making you feel uh kind of like a yeah, I don't really know how to describe the feeling throughout this movie. You just kind of felt like you were on edge, I guess, in a sense, throughout the entire film, which is yeah, hard to do again. But yeah, kudos to the director and the crew, and the special effects in this movie were good. Yeah. Um I mean, some of it definitely followed like the old school slasher kind of like, tropes, which I liked. So yeah, I have to give this film an 8 out of 10. Other than that, I guess I will see you guys in the next review. Bye bye for now.